What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Tuesday, March 30th, 2021, a Whitta Wednesday. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the Rogue One at Gary Whitta.
Good morning, Greg.
How are you?
Good. I've got lots of energy, and we were just discussing how Kevin's had his brown flakes this morning or something. He's definitely pumped up and full of energy. He's got a lot of sauce.
Kevin claims that Cecil made him run.
He's full of beans, Greg. He's full of beans.
What does that mean that Cecil made you run, Kevin? Run me through that.
For like 4 blocks, Cecil was like, "I'd really like to run," and I was like, "Fuck, all right, let's run." So we just ran.
And you're out there in your jeans and your flannel. You're running out there with your hat backwards, or are you wearing the brimless hat?
No hat, hair on the bun. In fact,
Gotcha.
I ran with such vigor that my hair tossed itself out of the bun.
Wow.
Huh? Wow. You don't see that often.
So Kevin's pumped up. He's ready to go, and we should be prepared for some salty comments from him, because you know what he's like when he gets too much energy.
The problem is, when Kevin has too much, he's gonna get combative. He's gonna, who's he gonna pick a fight with? Is it gonna be you? Is it gonna be me? Is it gonna be the chat? You never know what he's gonna be.
I'm already braced for it. We'll see how it goes.
Mr. Whitta, how have you been in the past week since I hung out with you?
I've been good. Well, I've got a lot of projects percolating, cooking.
You're making a lot of waves with that last Starfighter business.
Yeah, we just passed 100,000 views on YouTube, which is not bad for my sad little channel.
If people don't know what it is, explain it.
I've been a great fan of the movie The Last Starfighter, 80s classic for many years, and I've been trying to find a way to bring it back to do a sequel. And
for the record, you've been trying to do that forever. I remember when you came through up at noon.
Years.
Yeah,
several years. A few years ago, I met the original creator and writer of The Last Starfighter, a guy named Jonathan Betchwell. And he and I hit it off, and we've been trying to bring the sequel back for a while now. And we've gotten to a point where I think we're very close. And we put together a little sizzle reel, just some concept art that we got. My good friend Matt Alsop, who did all the, well, not all of the concept art, but he was the lead concept artist on Rogue One.
Heard of it.
And Chris Tilton, great video game composer, put together a beautiful new orchestration of the classic theme tune. And we cut together a little sizzle reel. You can go to youtube.com/gwhitta and check it out if you want. It's gone viral, Greg.
What is the hope with this trailer? Is this trailer's teaser and just to show the excitement, and then a major motion picture organization looks at it and says, "Oh, we should make this with them"?
The major motion picture organization, we're already there. Those conversations are already being had. This is not about trying to make people aware of it. They're aware of it. This was just, hey, look, we have this stuff that we worked on. We think it's pretty cool. I get, messages and tweets at least several a day. People saying, hey, what's going on with Starfighter? Or because people I know I'm associated with. I thought, well, look, let me show you a little bit of what we have. There's a lot of interest out there, and we got a lot of great comments. I think it really validated our instinct that people would like to see a new Starfighter movie. And I hope we'll get to do it.
If this doesn't work out or is a huge success, would you consider making Flight of the Navigator 2?
The funny thing is, I actually got offered that.
You son of a bitch!
You're so.
Why didn't you take it?
It's my Chief Afters moment for today. I can't help myself, Greg. You know what? I'll tell you the truth. I looked at it. I went back and watched the movie, and it's an interesting movie. It's one of those 80s movies that hasn't aged as well as some others. But it's fun. I just what you need to do when someone asks you to work on a new version of a movie, whether it be a reboot or a sequel or something. You need to come up with a take. You need to come up with an approach. Like here's how I would do this. Here's why you want to make my version of the movie and no one else's. And I just couldn't find a way into it. Sometimes when you watch one of these old movies and someone's asking to make a sequel, you go, "Oh, I know exactly what I would do." Like with Starfighter, we know exactly what we want to do. With Navigator, I was like, I don't know. I don't know what I would do with it. It didn't spark that, the imagination. So I moved on.
Next time that happens, you come to me, Gary. All right, we'll
Joker
it.
Have some ideas for me? All right.
We'll
do a Joker.
Ideas. Yeah, we'll get it.
It wouldn't be our first collaboration. That's true.
Exactly. It won't be our last, I'm sure. But enough about us making major motion pictures. That's right. We're making Flight of the Navigator. So wait, did they already announce Flight of the Navigator 2? Did I miss this?
No, I think they're still trying to figure out how to make it. It's one of those things.
After this show, actually, you know what? Pause. Mute yourself right now and call him and say, you know what? I got an idea. And then I need to go rewatch Flight of the Navigator because I haven't seen it since I was 6 years old. I have no fucking idea what happens in this movie. I remember the ship was cool. He time travels because he goes in and he comes back and everybody's old. And I remember he had a cute little alien.
Well, yeah. What's really weird about it is that it's actually really traumatic for the parents in the movie. Like
Hell
he gets
Really
he gets
messed up.
abducted by these aliens, and he's gone for like 20 years, and the parents just think he's gone, dead, or whatever.
Dead.
Yeah.
And then he comes back 20 years later, but he hasn't aged, and so for the parents, it's a real mindfuck.
I remember that part. I remember that. I forget. Does it reset at the end? Because this is the '80s where they were like, you know what, fuck it, no happy ending. So it doesn't.
I
It probably
honestly
doesn't.
don't remember. I remember the ship being very cool. I remember like compliance. Remember that guy, the
I vaguely
AI
remember
that navigated
Compliance,
the ship.
yeah.
That was really cool. But yeah, like some of these 80s movies, they kind of oh yeah, like it's so ripe for a remake or a reboot or a sequel or something, and others not so much. I mean, I'm sure someone will come up with it. Someone smarter than me will come up with a good way to.
Oh
to
no,
do
I'm
it,
reading. Heads up, everybody! I am reading it. I'm reading the description here on the plot synopsis on Wikipedia. He does go back to 1978.
Oh, he does.
Yeah, Max warns this
Okay.
could vaporize David, but David accepts the risk.
Oh,
After
so
the
it's
journey, he
like-
wakes up in the ravine, which I remember. I remember the ditch. Walks home, finds everything.
So
he's
from the
left in.
parents' point of view, it's like it never happened, really.
Sure,
Wax on,
yeah,
wax
it's like
off.
alternate timeline.
Yeah, I remember
Avengers
thinking,
shit.
like, from the point of view of the parents, going, "Man, that's really fucked up." They just spent 20 years, like, not knowing what happened to their kid. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's good science fiction. I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about San Diego Comic-Con defending their Thanksgiving show, Pikmin app details from IGN, and some CD Projekt news, because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show over at patreon.com/kindafunnygames. You can write in with your questions, comments, concerns, everything under the video game sun. Of course, on patreon.com/kindafunnygames, you can get each and every episode of the show ad-free. You can get it with the exclusive post show we do each and every weekday, and you can support the empire that is Kinda Funny. However, if you have no bucks tossed our way, no big deal. There are plenty of other ways to support. You can be watching live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, just like OM Jesus is, PJ Julian is, the 16 shards of Adonalizium are. They're all watching live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. Of course, if you have Amazon Prime, you have a free subscription. We'd love it if you gave it to us, yada, yada, yada. If you're watching live, you have a special job. Go to kindafunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up, so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames. Please like, subscribe, and share. YouTube, I already said the YouTube part, roosterteeth.com, and listening on podcast services around the globe each and every weekday. If you're on the podcast feeds, please consider giving a review over there, sharing it with your friends, subscribing, yada, yada, yada. You understand.
So it's
Housekeeping.
it's kind of funny is the Empire. I suppose that would make you Palpatine.
Yeah, that's right. And I want everybody to know that I do have multiple clones of myself, and they are getting down with all sorts of people to repopulate the world with little Gregs when it needs to happen. That was what happened with him, right? He was cloned, and then that was spoilers. That was he's raised dead.
I don't remember.
Isn't that how they did that? Kevin, you're a big Star Wars fan. You love all this shit.
No, that's no.
Isn't that what happened? He made clones, right? And they had sex. No, they had sex with
There
other
was
people.
the clones weren't sexing anyone up. The clones were
Then
like.
how did Ray
puppets
become?
that
How did Ray happen?
He had a kid. He had a kid that we never meet. The kid had Ray with someone
So
else.
the clone had to sex somebody up to get Ray's parents.
No, it was just his kid. He sexed someone up when he was younger. Palpatine sexed someone
Wait,
up.
the
when he was
original
younger.
Palpatine had sex, or one of the Palpatine clones had sex?
The original Palpatine.
Shit, fuck, really? I totally had this wrong in my head.
The Palpatine clones are not clones so much of Palpatine as much of they're the Snoke character. Snoke. That was it.
Snoke, yeah.
Palpatine
Can we move on?
himself was
Shit, I
alive
gotta
as
call
some
back
sort
all
of-
these Greg clones I have having sex
some
with
sort of
everybody. I
ghost.
didn't think this through, you know what I mean? We can move on. Housekeeping for you. We're making the best content of our lives right now, and I'm not joking. Ladies and gentlemen, we are killing it and couldn't do it without you. The Kinda Funny podcast this week that's up right now is all about getting old. It's the normal rigmarole of the Kinda Funny podcast that is us bullshitting with each other, but then getting super serious. It's available right now, youtube.com/kindafunny. And of course, our friend Robert Kirkman joins us tomorrow to talk about Invincible and The Walking Dead. Then there's a new PS I Love You XOXO up right now on youtube.com/kindafunnygames. This one's getting the top 15 Vita games you need before the stores are closed. And if you could just have one perfect Vita, this is what it would be. It's 5 picks from me, 5 picks from Blessing, and 5 picks from the chat. And then, guess what? Yesterday, the Kinda Funny morning show came back. You can check it out on youtube.com/kindafunnyplays, where we put up all of our Twitch streams. It was a great time. Andrea Renee came through. We had a whole bunch of fun clips and stuff in there. Kevin busted his ass to make it happen, and it was amazing, Kev.
Thank you.
Great work. Tomorrow, after Kind of Funny Games Daily, I am raising money on my stream on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames for the American Heart Association. That's right. All the money raised tomorrow will go to charity. You can find out more at kindoffunny.com/AHA. That's AHA, like American Heart Association, and be ready to donate tomorrow. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Mick, a.k.a. at Nanobiologist Abramson, Jack Black, Blackjack, Trent Berry, and Blackjack again. Today we're brought to you by ExpressVPN, but I'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. We got 4 items on the Roper Report. Thank you, Kevin. Wow, that was
I told you, he's full of beans.
What is that? Is that a British thing, full of beans?
Yes, it just means you got a lot of energy.
Well, I figured that much, but it means you're gonna fart a lot, right?
I mean, for all I know, he is. I don't know what he's doing. If he's using NVIDIA
I'm
broadcast,
definitely farting a lot, Gary.
Isn't that weird? I've meant to bring this up on the podcast. I can't remember. Oh, I did. Yeah, I remember. People didn't like it or whatever. But I mean, now that we're at home, headphones, mics, you're just farting all the time. You know what I mean? Nobody can tell. It's great.
Greg, I want to be crystal clear with the audience here. You were farting all the time at the studio. We all were.
But I mean, like, then you try to make it quiet. Here, you just don't care.
No.
Number one on the Roper Report, Comic-Con. San Diego Comic-Con is defending the fact that it's doing Comic-Con on Thanksgiving. This is Eric Fredrickson over at GameSpot. San Diego Comic-Con International announced this weekend the dates for its first in-person convention since COVID-19 began, with Comic-Con Special Edition set to run over the Thanksgiving weekend from November 26th to November 28th. Now, organizers are having to defend those dates to fans disappointed that they have to choose between family and a convention this fall. Comic-Con Special Edition is a 3-day event, 1 day shorter than the full-size Comic-Con, and quite a bit later than the usual July dates. Fans decreed the announcement on social media, and convention organizers have now released a statement in hopes of appeasing those conflicted con-goers. Quote, as conventions and events have had to cancel their in-person shows or have converted to virtual formats during the pandemic, some have been postponed to later years, while others have been rescheduled to the later part of 2021, resulting in a very packed convention center calendar, said convention organizers in an official statement. When reviewing dates for an in-person event, it was clear that available meeting and exhibit space would limit our options. Of the dates presented with the fewest restrictions, Friday through Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend seemed to be the best balance of available space and our envisioned event. As longtime fans ourselves, we have attended many conventions over that holiday weekend, opting to spend Thanksgiving Day with family and the rest of the weekend with friends and our families of choice. While this is not unusual in the convention trade, we understand this choice is not optimal for everyone, end quote. Countless events reaching all the way back to March 2020 were canceled as a precaution for COVID-19, including huge events like San Diego Comic-Con and E3, as well as smaller conventions across the country. The second half of 2021 will mark the first chance fans have to go back to these gathering places, but is also going to be the first time many will see their families who they might not have seen since Christmas 2019. Comic-Con Special Edition organizers say, quote, was never intended to be the Comic-Con Special Edition, organizers say, was never intended to be the large gathering reflective of the summer event, but rather a shorter event meant to slowly and cautiously allow fans to gather. It's also a matter of money, as usual, with Comic-Con organizers stating that the event will, quote, generate much needed revenue not only for the organization, but also for local businesses and the community. Quote continues. The loss of revenue has had an acute impact on the organization, as it has with many small businesses, necessitating reduced work schedules and reduction in pay for employees, among other issues, said Comic-Con spokesperson David Glanzer. Hopefully, this event will shore up our financial reserves and mark a slow return to larger in-person gatherings in 2022. Gary motherfucking Whitta, Mr. Comic-Con, they call you. How do you feel about Comic-Con being on Thanksgiving weekend?
I think it's colossally stupid.
Here. Agreed. Of course. What the fuck?
I mean, look, the COVID thing. I mean, like maybe by Thanksgiving things will be, much. So, we're making great progress with the vaccinations, as you know. By Thanksgiving, I think that's and Halloween. Like I already told my kid we're gonna go trick or treating this Halloween because I think that, if we are turning the corner, right? We're seeing that now. And I think by Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, we will be in decent shape. And I mean, it's not going to be super. I mean, when you talk about like a very, very large Comic-Con style gathering, I still don't think it's super safe. Look, someone's going to get COVID going to this event, guaranteed. Like there will be cases of COVID coming out of it, even with all the vaccinations and everything else we're trending in the right direction. I understand that the people that put on San Diego Comic-Con need to make money. They're obviously losing money while they're not, running their business, putting on conventions. But put the COVID thing aside. Thanksgiving, really? Seriously? Come on. I mean, maybe it's the only date they could get. I mean, the reason why it's the only date available because no one else is fucking stupid enough to put a convention on over Thanksgiving weekend. Who would want to do it? It's supposed to be a time for family. And the COVID thing plays in, Greg, because we didn't get to have Thanksgiving last year. Yeah. Right, so everyone's really going to want to have Thanksgiving with their families this year. I'm not fucking going. I love Comic-Con. I'm not going. And here's the other thing. Think about this, Greg. And it's the same reason we get annoyed when they do these like Thanksgiving Day sales and Black Friday and stuff. You and I can make the choice to not go. But if you work for the convention center, or if you work for one of the many, if
you work at
DC,
if you work Marvel and you're the events team, like fuck, you have to do this.
Or a film studio, or a merchandising company, Funko Pops, all that stuff. No matter anyone who's security for the event, administration, policing, a lot of people are not going to have a choice about being able to, like, they just lost one Thanksgiving for unavoidable reasons. Now they're going to lose another one for completely avoidable reasons. Stupid. I will not be going. It's very stupid.
My biggest problem with this is that I feel like the answer is the second part of the article. This isn't my problem with GameSpot. It's the problem with Comic-Con. And as I always talk about with any corporation or any organization, right? Like, just be human and honest about it. And I think this, when we get to the second half here, right, and they talk about the fact of generate much needed revenue for not only for the organization, but then they try to push it on other people, but it's definitely for the organization. Loss of revenue has an acute impact on the organization. Like, the statement here should have been as such. Hey, everybody, there's part of this that I kind of do believe that since things are freeing up, there's a rumor that since things are freeing up, that if you want to keep your convention timeline for next year, if you want to keep your space you have reserved for 2022, you need to do something contractually in 2021, right? Which I do buy. And so my statement would be very clear if I was in charge of Comic-Con. Hey, everybody, we have to do this to keep our spot for next year. So we're doing a smaller Comic-Con. We understand that everybody can't come to it. We understand that it's not a great date. We're doing this hopefully as we spin up the wheels to have next year's big Comic-Con, but also to see how it'll be to bring in people to have a convention again, to make people feel safe. This is not going to be the Comic-Con This is not going to be the Hall H lines out the door and the studios are there and yada, yada, yada. Because back to what you're talking about, Gary, like I think that when I talk about people from DC, Marvel, etc., put in companies that go to Comic-Con here, we're talking about the events staffs, right? We're talking about the people who have to work the booth. We're talking about the people who have to staff the floor. Like, I do not believe that any of the Hollywood A-listers are going to give up their Thanksgiving weekend where they can finally go do this. You're not
going to see a lot of big celebrities at this one. You might see like, a few people from fucking Stargate or something showing up to sell their autographs because they get, you always see them right in like Celebrity Alley and stuff like that. And that's fine. That's their bread and butter. I don't have any problem with that. But you're right. It's going to be a much smaller event. You're not going to get any big stars because all these big stars have got better things to do. They'd rather spend time
if they do Hall H stuff
with their families.
You're going to get a lot of canned video messages and stuff like that. But again, like I think, and that's fine. That's whatever. I feel like Comic-Con stepped on the rake by doing this and not justifying it from the start. It should have been, hey everybody, Comic-Con special edition. I would have called it, I don't know, something but stressing Comic-Con smaller edition, which of course they don't want to do because they still want you to I'm sure they're still going to try to charge you whatever they charge for Comic-Con tickets or whatever. But just be honest about what this is of like, hey, we are doing something smaller here. This is not meant to be the big Comic-Con. We understand you can't all come. That's fine. This is for those who can come, those who want to come. I already have friends who I saw on Instagram talking about like they booked their hotel room. And I'm not trying to shit on anybody who wants to go to this or doesn't have a family they want to hang out with on Thanksgiving or anything like that. This isn't meant to guilt you. I understand that this is for someone. There are an audience to go, but the fact that they're trying to act like this is Comic-Con when they announced it, now they're trying to act like, well, it's not. It's a smaller It's like, just fucking be honest. If it is like, hey, Our organization's almost out of money. We need live events to thrive. We're doing a live event here. It is a smaller live event. This is the point. This is the thing.
I mean, look, we don't know what their finances are like. Putting on a live event, in the fall could be the difference between them surviving and not surviving as a company, right?
Yeah.
I think there's an argument to be made to do another virtual event. Thanksgiving is right on that. It's like COVID, maybe not. It's a bit squishy. And there are going to be plenty of people. Like I said, people have already booked their hotel rooms. Not everyone has a family or gives a shit about their family or wants to spend Thanksgiving with their family. And Comic-Con is an option for them. It'll be a smaller event. I don't know. The more I think about it, I don't hate it. I really don't like it. I think it's really dumb. I think they're going to have trouble. And here's the thing. I think they're going to have difficulty getting a lot of eyes on it because people tune out over Thanksgiving. I'm going to be in a fucking turkey coma. I'm not going to be watching fucking panels, on YouTube or whatever. I think they're going to have a hard time. Thanksgiving's a bit of a dead zone for news and stuff like that. So I don't know how effective it's going to be. They obviously want to sell tickets. The one thing that I'll give the guy credit for in that statement was he was honest about it. We need to make money. We need to make money. We need to function as a business. And so from a COVID standpoint, it's not great. It's not terrible. From a calendar standpoint, it's just it really. I mean, obviously, I come back to this. The reason why they're doing Thanksgiving weekend is it's clearly the only weekend available because who else would want it? Who else would want that date?
Nobody. And I think that's, I appreciate the candor, from the statement from David down here. Yeah, the official statement from the actual convention organizers and their official statement, I think, misses the mark. Because I think it's easy enough to justify this stuff if you were to say, honestly, openly, hey, this isn't for everybody. It's going to be smaller. We need money. We need to throw an event. We need to keep going and have it make sense.
But I guarantee you, if you're someone who works for DC or Marvel or Image Comics or Funko Pops or any of these merchandise.
You can stop right there. Think of our friends at IGN and GameSpot who do the live coverage and have to watch all this stuff.
Keep going. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of companies that will be at even this smaller event. If you work at one of these companies and part of your job is to do these conventions and you saw this news drop and you have a family, you just went, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Seriously, I didn't get to spend Thanksgiving with my family last year. I was looking forward to Thanksgiving this year, and now I've got to be fucking working a booth. Fuck off.
Agreed. Number 2 on the Roper Report, we have Pikmin app Deets. This is from Jordan Oloman over at IGN.com. Last week, Nintendo and Niantic revealed that they had partnered once again to release a Pikmin augmented reality game similar to Pokemon Go, with the goal being, quote, to make walking more delightful. Niantic has begun testing its Nintendo-partnered Pikmin augmented reality app in Singapore, and via an anonymous source, IGN has seen the early version of the game, currently simply titled Pikmin app, and read through its Help Center section for a rundown of the game. As a result, we can reveal some details about how it will work when it launches worldwide. Of course, with the game in testing, some features could change before the final version. 2 features that will almost certainly change from this version are the lack of any microtransactions and points of interest, similar to Pokemon Go's Pokestops, being currently non-interactable. Pikmin are seen as a dormant seedling. Pikmin are first seen as dormant seedlings that you must find, pluck, and grow by walking around the real world with your smartphone. Walking accumulates energy, which you can use to pluck and collect Pikmin, adding them to your squad, parentheses, and you can manually rename Pikmin too. Places of interest in the Pikmin app may well be based on Ingress portals and not Pokemon Go's Pokestops. Once Pikmin have grown, they can be added to a squad, parentheses, not unlike Pokemon Go parties. Once you've got a Pikmin squad, if you walk with them, they will accumulate fruits that can be turned into nectar, just like the mainline Pikmin games. Just like the mainline Pikmin games, Pikmin who partake in the nectar will bloom leaves, buds, and flowers. And when the flowers glow, players can collect petals by tapping on the bloomed Pikmin. Petals are under the flower planting mode described below. Of course, you should go to IGN and read their full report. Different Pikmin offer different colored petals, and petals have a recovery period before you can collect them again. Collected Pikmin also have life meters represented by small hearts. Jordan's rundown of the app goes on and on and on from there. But Gary, first blush, are you going to be playing Pikmin app?
No, these games aren't for me, but it's not my cup of tea. But it all sounds very good. I think there'll be a market for it. It won't be as big as the Pokemon market because what is. But I think it's a good fit. We talked about this on the show the other week. The Pikmin, kind of the whole idea is these little creatures that live in your garden. So there's an AR, sense for that right away. Like You know, I know that there are some people like the neckbeards will be looking at the worst AR game ever, and they'll be doing all that shit that they do. But it's not for you. It's for kids. It's mostly for kids, and kids are going to love this. I can already imagine my 8-year-old daughter kind of running around the backyard, looking, for Pikmin in the bushes and stuff like that. It'll be fun. She'll like it. And so for the market that it's intended for, I think it'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, why not? Why not?
Why not? Indeed. No, my thought process on this is a couple different things. We've talked about the Pikmin app last week, obviously, but I don't think Pikmin has like this. It has an audience. Don't get me wrong. There's a small group of Nintendo fans that love Pikmin, and my thought would be that they're just going to be excited to have more Pikmin. You're talking about the neckbeards or whatever, being like, I actually think people will be like, oh, cool, Pikmin's doing something again. They're doing something new with Pikmin, and yeah. I mean, the Pikmin games, and I'm speaking out of turn as somebody who's never been a huge Pikmin fan, right? Aren't the most like in-depth, like crazy gameplay, all this other stuff, right? I think that this actually fits into that world. Now, will it be for everybody? No, of course not. Like, I know plenty of people who love Pokemon but don't play Pokemon Go, and I know plenty of people who play Pokemon Go but don't want to play a mainline Pokemon. And even me, I got into Pokemon Go for like 2 months or whatever, where Jen and I were all over the place going out there and capturing them.
I mean, everyone was. Remember that?
Yeah, but I did it late.
When it was real, do you remember when it was really hot though, and there was like actual like issues in the real world where like people stampeding into Central Park or whatever because somebody had reported a rare Pokemon? We would see it all around, all the Pokemon gyms around here. We would drive around, you'd see like 50 people like congregated around a bus stop staring at their phones. We're like, must be a Pokemon gym,
I forget who said it, and it was a long time ago, but Pokemon Go was the closest we ever got to world peace. Where it was ridiculous when that game launched to walk on, like, when I was in a different section of the Sunset, super sleepy neighborhood area where we had the first studio or the spare bedroom, like walking on those streets that were usually dead and so quiet, walking on the streets and having people running around, screaming about Charizards, doing the gym, standing there, like, it was amazing, and that was a moment in time where that game launched. And you're like, "Holy shit, this is awesome!"
You know what I thought was interesting about that phenomenon is like games are massive, right? Video games are massive. We know they're huge. We know these things sell millions of copies. They're cultural phenomenons, billions of dollars in business. But it's kind of hidden, right? Because you play games at home, right? Everyone's at home, and the only way you're ever aware of anyone else playing games. Like sometimes I think about this. I'm playing like GTA or The Last of Us Part 2 or whatever, and I'm thinking, man, like millions of other people right now are in their living rooms playing this as well. But you don't see it because they're all in their private rooms. When you play games online and you're playing with voice and stuff, you're getting aware of the fact, there's lots of other people playing this game right now. But it's not like in the real outside world, so to speak. But Pokemon Go did transcend that barrier. You saw people all over the streets playing games. You go, oh shit, this is huge. Right, because you can see it right in front of you. They're everywhere. Totally. They're on the streets. They're in your local park. They're at these gyms, these battle locations. So it's interesting. Obviously, it was a big success, but I think it seemed almost even bigger than it was because it was so visible, because it was in public in a way that video games aren't usually played. Video games are usually played in private. This one was played in public.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like you nail it, I think, right there, of that having a moment of seeing it and sharing in that video game experience. Like, I don't know, Gary, obviously you're much older than me, but I'm also old. And so it's like that I still get excited. Like the guy who made a joke about it on one of the shows recently, like the guy across the back here, like our back, my back window looks into his back window, only plays Call of Duty. But I'm still stoked to see him playing Call of Duty. And then when I'll go out the front door, sometimes I'll look up and there's a person who plays Switch up there. And I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. Somebody's playing Switch. And like you're saying, there are millions of gamers. We know this. We know how successful all these units are. But it's so cool to see someone else doing what I love to do. And so, when you're walking the streets, like, when we walked through Golden Gate Park and it's a community day and it's people out there in their, pre-COVID times, out there in their Pikachu hats and all running around, and they've got their Ash Ketchum hats and they got the ball and they're looking for a Porygon. It's fun. It's cool. I like that. And so, like celebrating that and getting that out into the real world is awesome. What Pikmin's going to do, I don't know. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I think Pikmin is a game that people love. I don't know. Like you're saying, I don't think you'll see it take off and explode the way Pokemon Go did, but I've been proven wrong before on how successful things will be.
Yeah, I agree. It's obviously not as big as Pokemon, but nothing is. I think I think it'll be successful. I think it's a good fit, from in terms of the franchise and the implementation. Again, there'll be a market for it.
Hold on a second. Now, as you know, people are allowed to write in to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. Tell us what we screw up as we screw it up. But then sometimes people like to just shoot their fucking mouths off in chat and act like they know a fucking thing or two. Lakershead 2432 says Pikmin is top 2 Nintendo franchises, Greg.
Really bigger than Zelda?
Are you? No, that's the thing, is he definitely doesn't mean by sales. He's just talking, I think, maybe for Lakershead, it's a top 2 franchise. You're going to say, so what? It's Mario, then Pikmin. That's what we're going to say the top franchises are for Nintendo.
This is why I have to take 3 ibuprofen before looking at the comments, Greg.
Well, it's usually the Twitch chat, and like I said, there's been a rash of people not putting up carbon monoxide detectors, and they get deprived of oxygen, and they say stupid things in the chat like that. I'm like, defend yourself, Lakers head. Look, everybody's just over here. They're just celebrating on your grave right now because you come on now. What do you mean top 2 Nintendo franchises? What does that mean? All right, what does that fucking mean? Yeah, nothing. That's what I thought, you goddamn coward. All right, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Pikmin's bad.
Yeah, it's sorry that Lakershead had to be roasted on a pike like that, Greg. But I mean, maybe that's a good thing that you did it, because maybe that'll before the next keyboard warrior fucking weighs in, they'll think twice. Think twice.
Murph
before
Dad says, spoken like a true Lakers fan. We have fun here. Come back, Lakers head. It's fine. All's forgiven. Next story on the Roper Report. It's number 3. It is CD Projekt updates. Today, CD Projekt put out this whole strategy update thing that I was putting in here piece by piece with different reports. But then, of course, the one and only Rebecca Valentine from IGN.com, friend of the show, wrote it up, and we're just going to read her report. It's rather long, but so go give her a click a little bit, okay? Go click over on IGN, look for Reb's story, click on that. After a long, drawn-out development for Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt is preparing to shift gears for future AAA projects and work on games in both the Witcher and Cyberpunk franchises simultaneously beginning in 2022. During a strategy update presentation, CD Projekt outlined how it's going to achieve its goals to develop 2 AAA games in 2 different franchises simultaneously, saying it intends to staff up over the next year and have development teams working on both projects at once, including leads. It's also planning to adjust the capabilities of its internal game engine to allow features like NPC routines and player character control to be adapted in multiple games at once. Quote, we want to be sure that we can work with 2 global brands at the same time while ensuring top quality of our products, said CTO Powell Zawadi. Quote, we emphasize technology advancements, and we want to set up versatile teams which combine various specializations and competencies. These teams will be further assisted by a cross-projects group of experts who, owing to their expertise, can contribute to key aspects of development. All these changes aim to enable us to work on multiple AAA games and expansions in parallel starting in 2022. Though the presentation did not specify what either of these games would be, CD Projekt made a point to say it was going to be more careful with how early it made announcements in the future, given criticism of Cyberpunk's transformations from its original announcement. It did say it wants to continue adding onto the traditional RPG. The Witcher, for instance, began as a traditional RPG, added action elements, and Cyberpunk took those genres and added shooter elements as well. It also addressed, albeit indirectly, criticisms of massive crunch at the studio ahead of Cyberpunk 2077, despite reassurances from studio leadership that they would do no such thing, saying it was putting in place new support systems to minimize stress and prevent burnout, including more mental health support, though CD Projekt did not go into specifics. It also outlined its plans for 2021, saying Cyberpunk 2077 would receive patches and updates, free DLC, and a next-gen update, while the Witcher franchise would see The Witcher Monster Slayer, next-gen updates for Witcher 3, and further development for Gwent. CD Projekt also announced today it acquired Digital Scapes and gave an update as to how it would be doing its marketing going forward. While I'm here, because I want you to respond to all that, Gary, I'll pop out right here, though. Digitalscapes is Vancouver-based game studio that they got up here. The well-known Digitalscapes team is our trusted partner. For 3 years, we have been closely working together, and we trust them completely. Digitalscapes have put in a great deal of work during the making of Cyberpunk 2077, assisting in development of the game and optimizing various features, and so on and so forth. But yeah, they signed a term sheet specifying the conditions under which it will acquire the Vancouver-based game dev studio. Gary Whitta, is this cart in front of the horse? Like what like Cyberpunk 2077 still isn't fixed. It still is not on the PSN. It still doesn't have the next gen updates. Do we care right now of what they're doing in 2022? Do we care about them working on 2 AAA franchises side by side?
I mean, I'm not really in a position to kind of speak, expertly about whether or not they're spreading their resources too thin. The company management, knows what they have and what they need to be doing better than I do. They've got 2 major franchises, right? Even though Cyberpunk is the newer thing, they do. Witcher is also like that was the game that built their company, so they need to keep servicing that. They've obviously got a roadmap for Witcher going forward. I'm sure we'll all be excited when they eventually inevitably announce Witcher 4. We'd all love to see that. Look, I feel bad for CD Projekt. I want them to succeed. I want them to get back on their feet. They had a worse 2020 than most people, and we all had a shit 2020. We all had a shit 2020, but they went through everything else we went through plus that as well. And look, a lot of it was their fault. Yeah, we've talked about it a million times. They knew what they had. They knew they should have released it, and they did.
Emergency break real quick on this, just for the rant. We always say, oh yeah, they knew. Remember, of course, this is people at the top. It's coming down on the masses that work for them, being like, fucking put the game out. Like this wasn't like, John and Jane Doe developer being like, yeah, fucking, it doesn't work, ship it. Like this was from the top pressure. So yes, I agree with you. Just making sure we're being clear about like.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't like the dev, the people at the top thought it was finished. Right, they knew that they were shipping an unfinished, broken game, and they felt they had.
And that's why fuck those people at the top is what I'm saying.
It's they made a calculation. Look, it's not ready, but we have to ship it now. Of the 2 options we have, which is ship it now or wait and ship it next, financial quarter or whatever, we're better off shipping it now. That turned out to be one of the great historic miscalculations in the history of the business. But they're now trying to get back on their feet. I still think they're fundamentally a good game company. They made a colossal miscalculation, and boy have they paid the price. But they are now trying to clean up the mess that they made, and I hope they're able to do so. I hope they're able to get back on their feet. There's a lot of good devs, a lot of good people that work there. I think they're very contrite. They're trying to make good. I like to, believe in second chances, and they paid the price. I gave them as much shit as anyone else for it at the time. I've talked a lot about what a disaster it was and how they should be held responsible, and I think they have been, and they are holding themselves responsible. And I hope they're able to continue making Cyberpunk and Witcher games and whatever they want to do next. But look, we all have long memories. It's going to take a time for their reputation to recover, a long time.
Well, that was my thing. Like, yesterday's thumbnail and headline question that Blessing proposed was, can they fix Cyberpunk? And my response was no, because I don't think Cyberpunk's broken in a way that you look at and you're like, oh, well, you fall through the level every time here. Like, this is a game that has been... its reputation is damaged, which then damages the entire thing. So, like, taking a step back from that, Gary, you talk about us having long memories. What do you think the reception to The Witcher 4 will be? Is it going to be immediately like, oh man, this is great? Or is it going to be an entire preview cycle where people are like, fucking prove it?
I don't know. I think that I see that Parris, the Cyberpunk opinion haver, has entered the chat.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Kind of Funny Xcast, Parris Lilly is joining us.
What he thinks. He's the real Cyberpunk expert.
All right, hello, Parris Lilly from the Kind of Funny Xcast. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I was literally doing housework and listening to this, and I go, I have to chime in because...
Please, you're welcome here anytime. I appreciate the fact that you slacked to ask if you could join the show. You are allowed to join whenever you want to, sir. You require no invitation.
Well, we're in the presence of the great Gary Whitta. I have to make sure I get permission before I jump on.
That's fair.
You're always welcome on anything I'm doing, Parris.
So yeah, Parris, where are you right now with this? Actually, you were listening. Where did you want to jump in?
I just wanted to jump in because they put out the news, obviously the studio acquisition, and they kind of laid out their future roadmap. While all of that is great, and I'm sure people listening or watching this knows my history with Cyberpunk 2077, I'm happy to see it, but I almost feel like this isn't the time to say it. I feel like, as you pointed out earlier, Greg, the game's still not on the PlayStation Store. I mean, this is unprecedented of a game of this size and scope to not. I think it's been 100 days now. It's not been on the PlayStation Store, which is crazy.
More than yeah.
Yes, this
maybe
really
it will
big,
actually come out in 2077.
it might. It just might. But I mean, just the fact that that patch just dropped. It was like 8,000 words. It was just epic. It just clearly shows the game should have never come out when it did. And then the very next day you're dropping this news. Hey, we're growing, we're expanding, we're doing this. As much as I want Cyberpunk 2077 to succeed, as much as I want to see new Witcher stuff and all that, now is not the time to start basically, I don't know, in a weird way, taking a victory lap. Like, look, we're great, we're growing, we have all these future plans, when the game that is right in front of us is fundamentally broken and it needs a lot of work. Like, I honestly don't really want to hear about how great Cyberpunk 2077 is until you fix the problems that need to be fixed. This patch is only part one in a series of things that they need to do to rebuild their reputation. And this just seems tone deaf, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I really wish this would have just been a simple statement. Hey, we acquired a studio, keep the other roadmap stuff for down the road when you've fix the game more, you have more goodwill out there in the community, people talking about it, because the chatter on social media was instantly, well, fix the game. That's all people are talking about. This game is broken. Why are you talking about the future when the present is still broken?
This was what I had talked about for the longest time, right, Parris, about when people were like, oh, well, can't wait for that PlayStation 5 Xbox Series X version in the spring. I was like, you're not getting it in spring. Like, you can't put that out until you have the base model fixed. You can't put it out until you've done that. Otherwise, people are gonna be like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? Why would you do this? Let alone whatever the hell Sony's thinking in terms of letting you put something on the store.
No, completely agree. Look, I want all this to happen. I'm excited to see whatever these expansions are going to be. Obviously, whatever they do next with The Witcher, the multiplayer aspects. I get what CD Projekt Red as a company is doing. It is exciting, but it's like you're letting the air out of the balloon because you're now announcing all this stuff when the elephant in the room right now says this game is broken. Your next major project is not what you promised it to be. Please fix that first. And I know there's a ton of people over there working hard to realize that, but just this wasn't the time to say it.
So you think it's an optics issue, Parris?
Yes.
That they needed to be like in a period of like mourning and contrition for longer before they started saying, "Hey, check out our next exciting moves."
Yeah, completely. Hey, let's keep it as simple as this. Maybe not talk about future plans until you get the current game back on the PlayStation Store. I think it's that simple.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, right? Where you get the game you promise people for years to the state that it can be playable on that platform. Then you're allowed to talk about what is coming next.
Okay.
Oh, hey, Parris, before you go, sorry, there was one from the chat here. Lakershead 2432 does say, can Parris chime in on the Pikmin top 2 Nintendo franchise debate?
You know what's so funny? I was going to say something in the chat as I'm listening to this. Look, as a fellow Laker fan, as a fellow part of the purple and gold, I want to defend him, but he's 1,000% wrong. I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate that. Gary, turn your camera back on. What, you went away, but you didn't turn your camera.
For some reason, my Discord shit the bed. It restarted. Sorry about that.
Again, we know that there's beef between you and Parris. It's fine. Don't worry about it. There was a couple in Parris. Thank you. You can go back to your house whenever you need to. Just to close the loop here on the Pikmin stuff, though, there were a couple your wrongs about it. All right. Not Lakers fan wrote in and said Lakers head got cut off before falling down a well. They meant Pikmin is the number 2 or the top 2 Nintendo franchises that include Pikmin. Number 1 is Super Smash Brothers.
There you go.
And then Foodie and Fit wrote in actually with some actual information. We have to give Lakers head a little bit of credit here. He wrote in with the fandom video game sales wiki for best-selling Nintendo games. And it's closer than you think. At number 1, it's Mario. At number 2, it's Pokemon. Number 3, Wii Series. Number 4, Legend of Zelda. Number 5, Donkey Kong. Number 6, Animal Crossing. Number 7, Smash Brothers. Number 8, Game & Watch. Number 9, Kirby. Number 10, Brain Age. Number 11, 11, Nintendo Dogs. Number 12, Duck Hunt. Number 13, Yoshi. Number 14, Wario. Number 15, Luigi's Mansion. Number 16, Metroid. Number 17, Splatoon. Number 18, Fire Emblem. Number 19, Star Fox. Number 20, Tamagotchi. Number 21, Big Brain Academy. Number 22, Ring Fit Adventure. Number 23, Pikmin. There it was. He forgot the 3. He meant it was a top 23 Nintendo franchise when he said that in the chat there. I understand, Lakers head. I have typos all the time too, where I leave the 3 off of 23 and then act like Pikmin. I saw someone in the chat, for the record, be like, Lakers head is really nice. Stop being mean to him. This is not being mean. This is us hanging out. Lakers head has been a long time kind of funny supporter. I would hope he's a 46-month subscriber on the channel. We're just having a good time here.
I don't usually look at the chat, but I pulled it up because everyone's talking about the chat right now. Someone in the chat, I forgot his name, it scrolled by now, just said the guy on the right, but presumably he means me, has a super weird accent, lol. I'd just like to tell that person to fuck off.
Fair enough. You got him. You know what I mean?
You got him, Gary. You got him.
Crushed him. You know what I mean?
It's not a weird accent. It's just different than yours. What the fuck is wrong with these people?
Lakers head, we love you very much. Thank you for hanging out and being fun today. Number 4 and final on your Roper report for Thursday. I got a Fortnite Switch update for you. Beginning today, a new update will allow for improved visual performance and a consistent frame rate on Nintendo Switch Fortnite. When playing Fortnite in handheld mode, you can now enjoy 1140 by 660 resolution, and when playing on a TV, you can expect 1560 by 880 resolution. As a bonus, the game now takes up 140 megabytes less storage on the Nintendo Switch. This is from Nintendo, or maybe it's from Fortnite, I forget who. Getting a victory royale has never felt better on Nintendo Switch. Congratulations if you're still playing Switch Fortnite. And if you aren't, but you've always wanted to play Fortnite, great place to start. Nobody really builds on Nintendo. It's easy.
By the way, Greg, if you are a fan of I know you like to get me on the Oi Governor content.
Yeah.
You should be listening you should be tuning into Englishman in Los Santos, because the character I play on the show, Gary Mitchell, has that accent that you like to make fun of me having, which I don't have in real life, but I do on the show.
It's not that I make fun of you. It's just that I do such a spot-on impression. It's like when, when you look at a mirror, you're like, is that really what I look at? Like,
it is uncanny when I hear you doing it.
It really is uncanny, ain't it? Yes, that's what
I mean, right there. It's like I honestly thought I was hearing myself back in my head. I was hearing
myself talk, wasn't I? Yeah, see, exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, before we have any more fun on the show, let's talk about the sponsors. Remember, you can go to patreon.com/kindafunnygames to get the show ad-free, but you didn't, so let's talk about today, ExpressVPN. Does it make sense that the same company who controls half of online retail also passively eavesdrops on your private conversations at home? What about the idea that a single company controls 90% of internet searches, runs your email service, and gets to track everything you do on your smartphone? Big tech is more powerful than most countries are, and they profit by exploiting your personal data. It's time to put a layer of protection between your online activity and these tech juggernauts. That's why Kinda Funny recommends ExpressVPN. Think about how much of your life is on the internet. Sadly, every site you visit, video you watch, or message you send gets tracked and data mined. But when you run ExpressVPN on your device, the software hides your IP address, something big tech can use to personally identify you. So ExpressVPN makes your activity harder to trace and sell to advertisers. ExpressVPN also encrypts 100% of your internet data to keep you safe from hackers and eavesdroppers on your network. And ExpressVPN does all of this without slowing your connection. That's why it's rated the #1 VPN service by CNET and Wired. What I like most about ExpressVPN is how easy it is to use. Download the app on your phone or computer, tap one button, and you are protected. We've talked about it before. I believe it was Kevin and Cool Greg using it back in the day. So stop handing over your personal data to the big tech monopoly that mines your activity and sells your information. Protect yourself with the VPN Kinda Funny Trust to keep us safe online. Visit expressvpn.com/games. That's expressvpn.com/games to get an extra 3 months for free. Go to expressvpn.com/games right now to learn more. Gary?
Yes, Greg.
I'm excited for everyone to use ExpressVPN and be protected forever on the internet. But that protection is so far away. If I wanted something more immediate, say what came to the mom and grop shops, where would I go?
The official list of upcoming software on each and every platform, as listed by the Kinda Funny Games Daily Show hosts each and every weekday.
Yeah!
Gary, I know I've complimented your Sunday.
Someone in the chat asked for that voice. So
I love that voice, and we've complimented that voice before. But what happened, and we didn't actually reference it on the show, but I saw the chat and my own heart aflutter. Your comic book guy earlier was great.
Oh, you know what? And the funny thing is, I've never done it. That was my first time even trying to do it.
Do it again.
No, I don't do it on demand. I do it when you least expect it.
Oh, well, okay. Thank you, Lucy. Lucy, Gary does a really good Simpsons comic book guy, but he won't do it again. That was his first time, and he won't do it again now. I know, right? You let Lucy down. You know what I mean?
I can't do hers. I can't do a Geordie accent, unfortunately. I wish I could.
He says he can't do a Geordie accent either.
That's fine. It's very difficult.
Okay, it's difficult.
Yes, it's a tricky. It's a very, very broad accent. It's a tricky one to do. Hello, Lucy.
Out today, Disco Elysium: The Final Cut is on PlayStation 5, PS4, PC, and Mac. Lucy is excited and loved that game and wanted me to play it. Now I actually will. Kingdom Hearts 3 is on PC. Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 plus 2.5 remix is on PC. Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory is on PC. Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue is on PC. C14 is on PS5 and PS4. I Saw Black Clouds is on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Auto Chess is on PS5. Narita Boy is on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Undermine is on PS4. Evil Genius 2 is on PC. Balloon Girl is on Switch. After Pulse is on Switch. Ty, the Tasmanian Tiger 2 Bush Rescue HD is on Switch. Aaron's Adventure is on PC. The Binding of Isaac Repentance DLC is on PC. Accelerate is out on Steam today. There's now a passive run update for Unto the End. It's been released on PC and PS4, PS5, Switch, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, and the Xbox PC Game Passes. All Red Dead Online players will receive a free seasonal care package this week, full of essential items to keeping their health, steed, and sidearms in tip-top shape. GameSpot reports that Epic Games has released its first major patch for Fortnite Battle Royale Season 6. That's not right, though. It's chapter whatever. Anyway, Chapter 2, Season 6. The 16.10 update is now live on all platforms, and as expected, the eggs found around the island have hatched, revealing raptors inside, and a number of other changes that have been made as well. Kevin, are you excited to go? I think you ride the raptors. Are you excited for that? You want some? You want to play some?
For reals? Oh, man, I'm so excited.
So.
I can't wait.
Dead by Daylight launches a new chapter today called All Kill, and it's K-pop inspired. And then, actually, I got two things for you. Right as we were going live, Insomniac tweeted, rolling out today, our new Miles Morales PS4, Miles Morales PS5 update adds the advanced tech suit and includes various fixes. Additionally, on PS5, the update adds realistic muscle deformation on select suits. That's great. Good job, Insomniac. However, if that wasn't enough, Insomniac tweets as well. We talked about this yesterday, right? Yeah, yesterday. That of course, right now, till March 31st, you can get Ratchet & Clank 2016 for free as Play at Home. We made it. The hashtag PS we played this on PS I Love You, which is our book club, right? And then it was like yesterday, Insomniac announced that in April sometime they were going to put out a 60 frames per second patch for PS5. We all got sad because we were all playing that game right now and we won't get the benefit from it. Reading our prayers, I guess. I don't know what. Insomniac tweets today, surprise, the update is now live. Get blasting Rangers. So if you were waiting to try out Ratchet & Clank in 60 frames on PS5, you can now do it because Insomniac is, I'm not going to say the best developer on earth, but they are fucking serving up the hotness right now. So
I mean, they're very good. They're very good. And by the way, I'm glad that this is why I often wait. We still haven't played Miles Morales, just because there's been a lot going on in our lives and other games to play. But now, when we finally do, I think we're actually going to start maybe as early as this week. Now that we finally boot it up, we'll get the version. Our first experience with it will be all nicely patched up with extra suits and stuff like that. It's a better experience than we would have had if we would have played it for the first time on day one. I understand why people want to play games on day one, of course, but for people who wait, there are benefits. You get all the extra stuff.
At some point, and I don't know when, it'll be during a slow point, I'm going to double back and platinum Miles Morales on PS4. I already got the PS5 platinum.
Wow.
I can do that.
Is it two separate platinums? Is that how it works?
It is, yeah.
Okay. All right.
New dates for you. Summer Games Done Quick is returning online July 4th through the 11th. Speedrunner submissions are now open. They open on March 31st and close April 11th if you want to get into it. And then Knockout City, I think we already knew was launching on Xbox One and Xbox Series X/S on May 21st, but there's going to be a cross-platform beta April 2nd to April 4th if you want to get in there and try that out. I know Snow Like Mike had talked about that on the Xcast, and you and Parris had been into it. That's that dodgeball game, Knockout City, where you're jumping around and throwing the ball at each other.
Yeah, Mike played around with it. His impressions on it were kind of mixed, like a little bit lukewarm. He's like,
but it was that thing where I talked to him before Xcast and after, and he said that you and Parris actually kind of turned him around a little bit on it, of like, I'd want to play this with my kid.
I mean, just on the concept, I think kids will like it. It's got, it's very Fortnite-y. When I first saw the graphics, I thought it was like a Fortnite spin-off or expansion or something. They've gone for a Fortnite kind of style. You know, I would say like Fortnite meets Splatoon is the vibe, and for kids, maybe, you know, I mean, you say to me, hey, Fortnite meets Splatoon, like the fucking cash registers are going off in my eyes right away. So I know maybe they'll do well with it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's your show. We have a post show to do over on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames.
Another banger, Greg. Another banger in the bank.
Before we go over there, though, I do want to give you the your wrongs. All right, we had some fun with them earlier on. Let's have some serious ones here. Zach writes in and says, additional material that released alongside The Rise of Skywalker says that Rey's father is actually not Palpatine's son, but a clone of failed Palpatine and doesn't have the Force. I know it doesn't make sense and contradicts the movie. So there you go.
Nah, we're ignoring that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just going to pretend you never said any of that.
And then Radic writes in and says, not a correction, but additional information about CD Projekt's roadmap update for 2021. The next generation update for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is coming in the second half of the year. So there you go. So we had a great show there. We nailed Lakershead. Zach kept us honest about Rise.
You came down on that guy hard.
Yeah.
When you're here, when you've been around that long, you want to be part of the show. Everybody's saying, Lakers. Now, here we go. Here we fucking go in the chat. Lakers head 24-32. Pikmin 2 is legit top 3 GameCube games, Greg.
Lord.
That wasn't the argument. Was that the argument? That wasn't the argument. You said top 2 Nintendo franchises, expecting that I wouldn't see it. Old eagle-eye Greg. You think these peepers miss bullshit when it's said about anything out there? They don't. I don't miss shit. I don't miss any bullshit. So if you're gonna be out there bullshitting, you're gonna get caught by me. All right.
The one that I saw earlier that annoyed was the guy that said, I played Cyberpunk for 200 hours and then refunded it because it was broken. Isn't that like eating a fucking 3-course meal and then asking for a refund because there was something wrong with it?
That ain't cool. That ain't cool. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we got a post to do. Patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You can go there to be part of the show. You can go there right now. Start asking questions for tomorrow's show, which is going to be Blessing and Tim. Thursday is going to be God Help Us, Nick and Andy for the April Fool's Day episode. And then Friday will be Blessing and Lucy James from GameSpot herself. It's going to be a lot of fun. Patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Write in with your questions, your comments, your concerns, your squad up requests. Remember, we don't dial back, so you have to, if you want to be squatting up and we didn't do it the day before, put it in every day. So you get in there, we'll get you in there. Yeah, I think that's the big stuff. Post show to do. We'll have youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Go there, like, subscribe, share, rate, and review the podcast. If you're watching live, you're about to get a Twitch stream on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. It is Snowbike Mike, Nick, Andy, and who is it, Kev? What's happening next?
They're playing Control. That's it.
They're playing Control. Right. They're playing some Control.
Nick,
I nailed it. That'll be fun.
Beating Control. It's going to be exciting stuff.
If you miss it and want to watch it later, youtube.com/kindoffunnyplays. Really wanted to say IGN there. That's a rare one. 6 years into my own company.
Wow.
But you know, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You know, IGN makes some good content. They got that Rebecca Valentine now. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a post show to do. But until next time, it's been a pleasure to serve you.